Okay, welcome to part three of choosing your niche. And this is part of my building an eBay Partner Network affiliate site series. In the first two, we started out by going to eBay Pulse, drilling down and finding this keyword here, shabby chic, that stood out a little bit. Then in the second part, we took it over to the keyword tool and we found a similar related keyword that was getting a fair amount of traffic in shabby chic bedding. And finally, we ran it through Google, and we found that it's getting a relatively modest amount of results, and the competition is not terribly high, so it's at least worthwhile to go ahead and throw up a store and see what happens. So now the third one we're going to talk about is taking the final step and registering a domain name. Okay, so what I like to do is head over to GoDaddy to check out what domain names are available. Now, I'm gonna preface this by saying that I do use GoDaddy personally to register domains. I do host a couple of sites there, but I don't necessarily recommend it. It's completely up to you. Price wise, their prices are not as good as they used to be, and you can find it .com domains for just about any other domain registrar, and a lot of places have them cheaper. You don't necessarily want to register a domain name at a certain place just because it's the cheapest, but it's something you want to take into account, especially when you're getting to the point where you're owning, 1 or 200 domains, because that's going to add up. So you want to be getting a good price. But for me personally, I do most of my domain stuff over at Bluehost.com, and you can find out more about that on my blog. But that's really a personal choice. The reason why I like to use GoDaddy, however, to do the keyword research is because well, for a few things actually. For one thing, they have the nice search box right here on the home page, and another thing is that they give you very detailed results. So what we want to do here is we want to take our keyword shabby chic bedding and enter it right in. Shabby chic bedding. Okay, perfect. .com. We always want to check for the .com first. Okay. Now, here we'll see the results page, and this is one of the reasons why I like GoDaddy. They tell you right up at the top the status of the domain you're requesting information on. They give you all the basic top level domains up here, and they also give you some other ones down here, including .ws, and they have the .me, and both of those are not always available on every uh, domain registrar site. So that's something you want to take into consideration, because a lot of times you're not going to be able to get these .coms and stuff, and the .ws is just as good, but only certain places have them, even though it is slightly more expensive. Um, Anyway, so we typed our keyword into the search to try to get this .com. Now that's a really crucial part, because what we're doing here is we're setting up an eBay store based on a specific product. So, we don't want to screw around when it comes to choosing a domain name. We want to we've did the research. We found that this keyword is getting traffic. This is a product that people are buying, and we want to get it the most of the traffic possible coming for this keyword. And this is SEO 101. If you can get a keyword into your URL, that's a best case scenario. So we absolutely want to get a keyword into our URL. In fact, I would go so far as to say that if there's no way you could get this keyword in the URL, it's probably not even worth putting up a niche site on this one. So this is definitely an important area. Now, funny thing is, when I did the written tutorial, these were all available except for the .com, and so for this exercise, I chose shabbychicbedding.net. So I have that registered, and that's what I'm going to be using throughout the process. As you can see, since then, somebody else obviously must have seen the tutorial and came through and registered these two other ones up, which is okay with me. I mean, personally, I could really care less if you want to take this same niche and use it throughout the tutorial. I don't think it's really going to help you learn anything, and it's certainly not going to bother me that you're trying to horn in on my niche, because if I cared about that, I wouldn't be revealing these in the first place. So if you really want to go after shabby chic bedding, go for it. But I think you're going to learn more by doing your own, and you can certainly feel free to ask questions and whatever. So anyway. What we've seen is that shabbychicbedding.com is already taken, and let's pretend that these other ones are all taken too. Now, generally, if you're doing this with a fresh keyword, and you see that these are all taken, that might be a good indicator that this is a more competitive uh, niche than what you originally thought. So this might be a red flag that you don't necessarily want to go there. Now, in most cases, when we go through the process like I've done, this isn't going to happen because we're looking for more specific niches, and usually they're not all taken like this. So, um, if you can't get to .com, that's okay. .net is okay. .info would be okay. .org is okay. Any of those would be fine. I've never used .me before, but I don't think there'd be a problem with using that. Only real problem is that it's a little bit more expensive. Same with .ws. I actually have quite a few sites that have a .ws extension, and I've never had a problem with it. A lot of them they rank just as well for the keywords, and there's really no downside to it. .us is okay, except for these are the only top level domains that might get a little sketchy because they're geographically specific. So you may be cutting out some of your international markets if you stick with a TOD that has your country included. So you'll get traffic for this country, but you may find it harder to rank for in other countries for the same keywords. So I would stay away from those. .biz is also really good for this too. And generally, I don't like .biz, but for these eBay affiliate sites, it's great. Anyway, another thing you can do is try the hyphenated version. Oops, let's see, shabby chic bedding.com, and we'll see what we've got there. Okay, shabbychicbedding.com is available. So this would be a really good one. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having hyphens in your domain name, and actually, you know, um, it's arguable that it's even better because generally Google sees this hyphenated domain name as these are three separate words, which is what you want. You want Google to identify these as three separate words because that's your keyword phrase. So, arguably it's even better. Now, if you're doing a brick and mortar online or type online store where you're setting up a brand and you might branch out into other offline advertising, you're not going to want to have a hyphenated domain. But for this type of uh, affiliate site where you really are not trying to brand the site at all, then certainly there's nothing wrong with hyphens whatsoever. And I've never really seen any definitive results on this one way or another, but it is definitely arguable that having the hyphens may even be more beneficial than not having them. So if I was doing this research from scratch and I came upon this, I'd be pretty happy to see that this .com is available, even though the regular .com is not available. I would say generally, if you can get the keyword unhyphenated in the .com, that's a pretty good way to go, and that's probably what you want to do. And it also probably means that the niche is totally untapped, which is fantastic. So those are all good things. If you can get the hyphenated version, that's nearly as good. So if I was doing this from scratch, this is what I would have gone with. When I first did it, I went with the .net because I think that's just a hair under the your keyword .com with no hyphens. If it was between the hyphenated .com and the unhyphenated .info, I probably would go with the hyphenated .com. So, it's really up to you. The most important thing is that you want your keyword to be the domain. You don't want any other words in there. You just want your keyword to be your URL, period. Whether or not you need to hyphenate it, that's up to you. One thing I would avoid is doing weird hyphenations where you do like shabby-chicbedding.com. You don't need to do that. Um, if you can't get a reasonable .net, .info, .org in a regular or hyphenated version, you should probably just stay away from it. If you absolutely have to for whatever reason, then you could always throw another word in there like buy shabbychicbedding.com or shabbychicbeddingcheap.com. And I would favor something like shabbychicbeddingcheap.com because you want your keyword to come first, always, as opposed to throwing something in front of it. So if you must throw another word in there, throw it in at the end. That's what I would strongly recommend. So, anyway, like I said, I've already registered shabbychicbedding.net unhyphenated, and that's what I'm going to be using throughout the rest of this tutorial. And hopefully the people that registered the .org and the .info will also be following along, and, we'll just see what happens. So, the next installment, we're going to get into starting to set up the site, what kind of WordPress tools you're going to need, and kind of mapping out the site. Now that we've chosen the niche, one of the biggest parts is done with, and, it's going to be fun, so stay tuned for the rest of it.